This is Paul, and there's a big question about what I'm doing. Yes. Well, let's say that you found out that that a city could not be the plaintiff requiring a mental health evaluation and requiring an individual to have to be admitted to a mental health facility so they could have psychotropic medications administered to them involuntarily. Yes. And you'd have to start looking at the grants that they've been receiving for the enforcement of the law. Now, I know that when I had communicated with Judge Porter, yes, through my public defender, and I had requested to reschedule the mental health evaluation, and I gave them certain dates that I was available, and I gave them a reason that it was hot and I needed to buy a suit and I wanted to look good. It seems that judges don't understand certain rights of those that may or may not be disabled. Now, let's say you retaliated me for discriminating against my right to not be ill when taking a mental illness. Well, that would be under the ADA, American Disabilities Act. Now, I know and you know that I'm not mentally ill or mentally defective. I mean, I can read the evidence. But for all of those that you said were mentally ill or mentally defective, that you wouldn't allow them to be able to schedule it when it worked for their schedule, there might be some sort of EEOC type of complaint that I could file. Now, let's say Judge Porter requested my presence in court 2 judicial days before the court date. Not thinking that I have certain rights as a citizen to require the minimum number of judicial days before having to have to go to a court hearing. And in his vain way of looking at things, he thought, no, I have no rights as a citizen, so I can require you to have to appear in court um, in 2 judicial days, because you can't use the day that I got the email from the public defender's office. Yes. I think it was on a Wednesday. So Thursday and Friday, Saturday and Sunday, they're not judicial days. And you can't include the day of the court hearing. Oh, it has to be a full 5 judicial days. 5 times 24 would be 120 hours. Yeah. Now, I'm not one to tell Judge Porter how to do his fucking job. What if you don't? But when I respond, how should a citizen respond to a request to appear in court? Sure. Give me the notice requiring me to have to appear in court, and then I will appear there because I can get arrested for failure to appear. I've had this big problem with those in law enforcement retaliating against me for wanting you to do what the law requires. Now, I did document, in fact, I included a calendar with the email so that you yourself could count the actual number of judicial days from the day that I received the email from the public defender's office to the day that I was requested in court. And then Bruce Hanafy kept sending me emails about, well, we're going to issue a warrant for your arrest if you don't appear in court. And I'm like, well, fuck you. Okay, you fucking. Now, your abuse of power has definitely caused me a lot of personal injury and damage because as a court, you don't do what the law requires. Now, if you had done what the law requires, because you didn't ask me what I was doing for those 2 days, in your minds, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can't obligate a citizen to appear in court 2 judicial days before a court hearing. It's kind of like issuing a bench warrant for my arrest. Ouch. Officer 0638. There is also this question of complainant under oath or certification, Corey Hall. Yes. Brett Roberts. Is Brett Roberts an actual member of the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department? Now, when you put the deputy prosecuting attorney under oath or certification, how can this be a police officer on the warrant and then this can be the prosecuting attorney? Now, I'm not sure, okay? The prosecuting attorney can issue a warrant, well, I would think these bench warrants actually have to have law enforcement involvement. And I know that Carroll said, well, he was in Brenton, Washington, and he said all these things in a supposedly scented email. But as I had documented in numerous emails, I actually was emailing the police and sheriff's department, Sheriff Stanko, and you decided to obstruct my emails because Bill Benedict said, well, he's a homeless, mentally ill man. Ooch. Now, when I email law enforcement wanting to know what the district court case was about, in plenty of time for me to have notice and opportunity to be heard so that I would be required to appear in court, and then the deputy prosecuting attorney says, well, we can see that he had seen it online. Why the fuck isn't he here? Then I asked the judge, well, where'd you send the notice? Because a homeless man doesn't have an actual address. So I know you would say, well, it's not our fault that you don't have a mailing address. But as a homeless man, I would say it is your fault because you sent notice of court hearings to a non-existent mailing address. Now, I told you I was going to sue you for that, or is this a new lawsuit? Now, the arrogance of Brett Roberts, in that you don't do what the law requires. The law requires any and all respondents or defendants that are wanted in a court hearing to receive actual notice, timely and proper, as required by law, before you can have them arrested. Judge Landon